These are a bunch of knife reviews that were not paid for or sponsored by any company, so you know they're real. Our Patreons had asked for a series of knife reviews, so that's what we're doing. I am showing off some of the knives I've carried, the knife I carry right now, the knives I've used to carry. In no particular order at this point. The one I used to carry most is this Mannix 2. How about the one I would carry next if? And we're also gonna, well, I guess I won't put a lanyard. Maybe. We're also gonna put a lanyard on this. I'm just gonna have to pause the video. So this is a video. This is a knife that was gifted to me. I don't get too many knives gifted to me, but friend Barbecue sent this. He can't have autos where he lives at. I forgot how he said he got this one. I think he said somebody gave it to him. And he didn't need it. He couldn't use it. And he sent it my way. So it's used. And this is an issue knife. It is made by Meyerco. It's a 18 X-ray. And it's made in USA. 154 cm. Steel. It's a Tonto blade. And a little bit of a down tilt. I don't know what to call that. This is so much like the Nim Ravis I used to have. I can't tell you. I sold the Nim Ravis because I'm an idiot and I needed the money. It was a D2, I think, so the steel was a little nicer, but the same size and shape, really. So that Nim Ravis, it was a sheath knife. It wasn't a folder. But this thing is awesome. So first off, it's an auto, which is nice. It's an aluminum auto, so it's heavy and decent. So for use with gloves and stuff, a decent heavy one I can understand. Its lock is like an axis. It's like an auto axis. In fact, it basically is an auto axis, except that it goes the other way. My auto axis on this Benchmade is under spring tension, so you can't close the auto axis like normal. I mean, there is technically ways to do it, but it's under spring tension, unlike a regular axis. When I pull back the blade or the lock on a regular axis, gravity pulls it down, but nothing else actually pulls it down. With the auto axis, you pull back the lock and spring is going to take over and open it. Now, because it's got spring tension opening it, right, it's going to want to stay open all the time, you know, even against gravity. And the lock is really just to keep it open, or keep it locked, shut, or open, whatever, which way. So you have to use it second hand or swipe it on something with the auto axis. So as much as I like the Griptilian, which is one of my favorite knives if I want a big fat knife, the Griptilian is an axis, and the Griptilian is a great bulbous like knife shape for working on stuff or cutting and whatever. It's a nice knife shape. This is a Griptilian auto axis made in aluminum with sort of a one-way stippling type of thing going on here, but it's different. It's a one-way on different sides, right? So it lets you have like purchase. It's aluminum, so it's a little heavy, and that auto is just really nice and smooth. This is really super dirty right now too, but typically it's nice and quick and smooth and good shape. It's a regular Griptilian drop point, like the standard Griptilians. There's no stud on it because it's an auto. But the big thing is you pull back on this auto axis. I'm not really reviewing that knife. So with this one, the Meyerco, you push forward and in. So just pushing forward doesn't do it. Just pushing in doesn't do it. Pushing forward and in opens it. Pushing forward and in unlocks it. And because it's an auto, it's under spring tension, so it's going to want to stay open all the time. So you can push it down with one hand, or use two hands. So yeah, let's pause it for a second and mess up everything and grab a piece of 550. All right, so this one time I was up with Patriot in the dark hanging out in Michigan, and I went he took me to a surplus store that he's a fan of, and they had these paracord lengths. Oh, I'm yawning. In a big bag, 1.5 pounds of paracord, and it was $4. See what I'm seeing here? $4, this giant bag of paracords. So I'm going to grab a dark blue, which is close enough to being black that I think it'll be cool on this one. Or should I go with this gray? You know what? I think I'm going to go with this gray. I've never had a gray color paracord before. Now, is it USA? Does not seem like USA. First indication is this inside stuff is flimsy. USA stuff is going to be more brittle, let's call it. It's going to have more strength, so it's not going to be as flimsy. There's also going to be a red color in there, and that has to do, I think, with the stretch. They're going to have multiple strands inside a parachute cord to give it the characteristics it needs, but in order to enhance or make those characteristics complete, they'll have different materials inside. They're not all similar, I believe. So I'm used to seeing some with red strands, for example. So I'm guessing this is just some non-US. I'll still put it on my knife because it's really just for it's not that big a deal. So I'm going to grab about, I don't know, that much. We always want to use the knife that we're using to cut it, right? I think it wouldn't be accurate or appropriate to put it on or to cut it with some other knife. I need to go get a lighter. Some size have one in arm's reach, especially an orange one. And I like to burn my 550 until the inside gets to be just about clear. And then once it's just about clear, I stuck it a little bit too long on the lighter. Before it burns, you'll get a little bit of a two-tone snot at the end. That's what I'm looking for, is a two-tone snot. So basically you're burning the white inner core and the outside core. And what is that for? What do I care? Because if you were to just burn the outside, for example, your inside core leaves, right? It shrivels up inside, and you're only getting the outside core, or the strength from your outside core. And what good is that? You know, that's only a portion of the strength. This is a system. It needs the inside and the outside. So by attempting to get a white and black blister at the end here, right, where that little snot blister at the end has white in the center, ideally, and the black rim around it, what you are ensuring there is that your inner core and your outer core are kind of attached, right, in that molten snot. So now your inner core and your sheath are going to stay together. So if you just got your outer sheath glued together with the melt and your inner sheaths fell out inside, sometimes you strip your 550 and you want that, but if it happens inadvertently, you'll get some strength, but you won't get full strength. And same way around, if you miss the outside core for some reason, you just glue the insides together, then this outside thing just shifts all around and starts to fray and it looks like crap. And in the middle, if you got it some half-ass way of doing it, then it just turns into usually a mess over here. So that's, especially when you're putting it on a knife, you're going to see it, it's going to be hanging on your pants all the time. Might as well take a second and get them nicer. Now another advantage of getting a nice two-tone snot is it typically is not going to be a lot bigger diameter than the cord, which in this case is a big deal because that 550, as you can see, is barely the same size as that hole. So if I can get this thing, if I can demonstrate this, am I allowed to do this on the internet? I'm demonstrating 550 going through the lanyard hole of my knife. If this was on my other channel, I don't think I'd be able to do this. So there we go. Boom, right? Boom, boom. Not a lot of wiggle room there. It's not tight, but not a lot of wiggle room. That's pretty much how you want it. Now, is this too long? Yeah, maybe it is too long. Maybe it isn't too long. Well, let's find out. First, we're gonna Now, one style would be to get them even. Get them just right to where they're supposed to be. Another style would be to stagger them. Or another style would be to not worry about it. Next, hold the two, however you're going to do it. Either one way or the other, or not worrying about it. Go around your finger once. So we're basically just putting one big overhand in here. And that's pretty much all it actually needs. I'll just wiggle this down to the end. This is way easier on Chinese 550, FYI. The more less flexible, I guess more rigid, regular 550 doesn't always comply to these knots as nicely. So we want to get that thing pretty tight. Now here's the pro tip. It's 550 cord. It's made out of nylon. So one thing is you bite on your snots. So I bit on my snots and yanked them out. Now here's the way you don't do this. Don't bite on them with two teeth and yank, right? Not just your whole mouth like you're trying to chew a nut. You're trying to bite two teeth and pull on one, just like you have a set of pliers in your mouth. Now I've pulled them out even further. I've tightened that knot. I've also pulled really hard right here so that I'm just tightening the knot either time. Here's the pro tip. You take that lighter you were using before, heat it up, do the same thing. Tighten it with your teeth. Don't do it though. Don't do it. Don't do what I say, but that's the way to do it. Next is, because it's bad for your teeth, it really hurts your teeth. Next up is one more knot. Why? For looks? Yeah. But also, otherwise it dinks around. So if you don't put that second knot in, here's what happens. It gets all weird. It'll be like this in your pocket. People will be like, what's up with that? So I'll take that second knot and I'm gonna tighten it up so that it's closer to the knife, and you don't want to make it so tight that the lanyard thingy won't move around. But also so that it's not all weird. And this one you don't need to heat up unless you want to. This one will get tight over time. And boom, it's a little rigid looking now, but it'll go away. Oh, I just stuck this on the wrong knife. So I just stuck this on the Benchmade, and I had intended to put it on Meyerco. So I guess I'll end up putting this darker color on the Meyerco anyway. So it looks like somebody already got this in pretty good. I guess I can do this a lot quicker without trying to explain everything now. So if you burn your finger on 550 cord, period, that's all there is. You're going to burn your finger on it, so get used to it. That's 550 cord. There's no tip or trick. Just, you're going to burn your fingers on 550 cord. Whew, that's weird. That smelled like vanilla. That was the weirdest smell in 550 cord ever. Literally smelled like vanilla. Alright, so again, pushing that thing through. Wow, it almost feels like the, no, I guess that's not possible. I was going to say I felt like the blade was touching the 550, but definitely not possible. Alright, now this one is a little bit shorter. I wasn't paying attention. So we're going to get that first one in. I don't know if I'm going to have enough room to get that second one in. I'll also sometimes take my teeth and pull on the back of the knot. Don't do that though, it's bad for your teeth. But I do it all the time. Don't do it though. Tighten that knot up after it's heated, and I don't think I can get a second knot in this one. So I'm going to probably take this out later and put a better one in. But till then, Meyerco. Tanto blade, super brittle, super strong. There's no way this thing is flexing. It's definitely going to snap, but strong, so I don't think it's going to snap very easily. Aluminum scales, I could probably handle a little more texture, but doesn't matter because I'm probably going to be using this with gloves no matter what. Clip so far seems fine. I did take it off because when he gave it to me it was tipped down. I can't deal with that. That's worse than being left-handed. So I flipped it over to tipped up, the way knives are supposed to be. And yeah, looking forward to carrying this. So I haven't carried it yet, but this is like a knife I would carry in the winter for some reason. I feel like this is a winter knife. But let us know in the comments what you think. Oh, let's weigh this one. So I don't know what your weight threshold is for knives. This one is at 5.5 ounces. The knife I normally carry is at 2 ounces, so this is pretty heavy for me. The old-fashioned buck, 7 ounces. So even with aluminum handles, springs, and a giant heavy blade, this thing is still a couple ounces lighter than what I used to carry when I was a little kid. So you people that think that we're old and we didn't do nothing, look at what we used to carry around. Brass. Like 8 pounds of brass for no reason. A bunch of wood, in case we needed to start a fire, I guess. More brass to hold the wood to the inside layer of brass. And then a bunch of steel, in case we needed a bunch of steel. And we're like, oh, you want to make that lock the exact same thickness as the blade so we have more metal to carry around? Great idea. I tried my hardest to whittle the blade off of this thing, but it still weighs like 700 pounds. That's what we used to carry back in the day. And we had to use 7 hands to open it. Now, boom. Meyerco. Issued. Tonto. Auto. Aluminum. I don't know what to call that, the lock, but it's very Axis-like. That's our video. This was a long one. We take videos of stuff, and our patrons request it, and we fulfill their request. Let us know what you think, and as always, thanks for watching.
Guys and gals of GunWebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching GunWebsites.com.